There is a common saying in the firearms world that iron sights are now the firearms equivalent of a stick shift. This is due to iron sights not being as prominent in the community as they once were. Nowadays, less and less firearms are produced yearly with iron sights incorporated, but my question is there room for iron sights in the modern world of firearms? Putting an optic on a firearm, such as a basic scope on a rifle, is not something new. The first ever documented telescopic rifle sight was made somewhere between 1835 and 1840. However, these early scopes were quite long and they were extremely prone to becoming unsighted by the slightest bump on the rifle or on the scope. The first ever reflex sight would actually be patented in 1900 by an Irishman called Howard Grubb. The sight was said to have better target acquisition than regular iron sights while avoiding a telescopic sight's limited field of view. These reflex sights would actually see use by German fighter pilots in 1918 and by surveyors in the civilian world. Though the sight did not significantly take off, it was an important step towards the modern sights of today. By World War II, telescopic sights had significantly improved. During the 1940s as well, the first ever night vision optic was implemented by the German forces. Known as the Zielgerät, I probably pronounced that wrong, I'm sorry, aiming device, it was an active infrared night vision device used by the German Reichsmark for use on the STG-44 assault rifle, though this device only saw limited use. Then in 1975, the first ever electronic red dot sight was put onto the market by the Swedish company Aimpoint AB. Then in the year 2000, the US military formally adopted the Aimpoint Comp M2, also known as the M68 Close Combat Optic. After World War II, a large number of soldiers missed their previous adventurous life overseas. A lot of these men still needed adventure in their life to fill that void, and one hobby that filled in that spot was hunting. After 1950, sales for telescopic sights on the civilian market began to go up significantly, and so did the amount of companies manufacturing telescopic sights. For example, in 1947, the company Leopold and Stevens came out with their first ever telescopic sight, the Leopold Plainsman. However, telescopic sights were still not relatively cheap for the time, and it wasn't until the mid-60s and the early 70s where the prices of telescopic sights were cheap enough for the average Joe. It was around this time where a majority of hunters swayed away from the iron sights of the time to the telescopic sights of the day. Though iron sights are slowly vanishing away from the gun world, there are a few advantages of using classic irons over a modern optic. The major benefit is obviously reliability. With iron sights, you do not have to worry about a battery running out or a slight drop on the buttstock. Though you do have to sight in a few rifles that do have iron sights, it is however harder to accidentally unsight your rifle if you are just using classic irons compared to if you're using a modern optic. But iron sights do have two significant limitations, and that is range and accuracy. The latter especially applies to longer distances. If you are hunting and target shooting, accuracy is a significant factor in choosing which type of sight you would choose. But with a lot of modern hunting rifles, you actually do not get a choice whether you get to use iron sights or an optic. This is because a proportionate amount of bolt action hunting rifles in the modern era do not come with irons at all. There are a few types of firearms, however, that actually do still come with iron sights. Like a majority of shotguns, they actually still use a single bead as a front sight, and a proportionate amount of lever action rifles also still come with iron sights. Depending on what your use is, it will also make out whether you need irons or not. I could use the argument that shooting at close range is one major reason to using irons, but with a modern reflex and red dot sights available, that argument is almost dead in the water. If you are, however, on a budget and a proportionate amount of the hunting or target shooting that you will do is at close range, then a military surplus sporter rifle with irons is good enough. A handful of rimfire rifles on the market also still come with iron sights and fixed sights. For example, most 10-22s still come with iron sights. Once again, it also depends on what ranges you are going to be shooting at, as it will determine which optic is best for you. People who have had significant practice shooting with irons on a rimfire rifle at a significant range can shoot rabbits all day with iron sights out to 75 to 100 meters, but you do have a higher chance of missing at that range or injuring the animal compared to if you use a modern optic. Even in the world of shotgun hunting, red dot and reflex sights are making a massive push. I do have to admit, I have also looked at putting a reflex or a red dot sight on my main hunting shotgun because my eyes are not as good as they once were. When sports shooting, there's also a significant place for classic iron sights depending on the competition. To this day, there are a vast amount of sports such as clay shooting, skeet, cowboy action shooting, and even military surplus rifle shooting competitions that still use iron sights. A proportion of handguns on the market as well still come with iron sights included. Now, do I think iron sights are slowly going to be eroded away from firearms culture? Well, yes. And no. For hunting, I do believe that in the next 20 to 30 years, we will only see a minute amount of people using irons. There will still be people out there shooting small game with rimfire rifles with basic irons. Hunters using a classic lever action, those who choose to hunt with a muzzle loader, and those who want to try out using irons for a change. However, with modern optics, most people would sway to using glass instead of irons for practicality. With competition shooting, depending on the competition, I do solemnly believe iron sights are here to stay. This also goes for plinking as well. In conclusion, iron sights are slowly being eroded away, but they will never fully vanish from firearms culture. Yes, irons are becoming the stick shift of the gun world, for now at least, do still have a place in the gun community. Thank you all for watching. Please like this video and subscribe. Also, don't forget to click the notification bell. I am Ben, and this has been Doing Things. Goodbye.